let me know if, but do let me know if today we will be starting with you and in unit covering of the have for your one is the RTI, which is right to information, and the other is the FIR, which so you know that both these are very documents where the FIR to file a police like reports anytime you lose anything, a crime happens, and file and make the complete piece of legal that you did or validate that this is your problem. First piece of recorded document FIR. So the first part of the chapter we were discussing the we were discussing the vested reading that you are giving because as you remember narratives. So in that we did Lost Boy and Alkanti. Remember that how we read two different. Then we learned about the sentence making with squiggle and doodle that we learned grammar bit. So now we are going to learn pictures. Then also last class we covered frame narrative with the Mayana. So we covered how like a picture frame where you have two talking about and that issue side of the story. So we discussed the different narratives that exist. Everything is a narrative. We class is also narrating something, narrating something. So everything is a narrative. So we're trying to understand the kinds that exist, and we're trying to understand the. So in today's class, we will at picture. Now, as children, we have all come across, all have our ABCD, our Hindi or any regional language book, alphabet. They were pictures. How did you know A for apple? Saw the picture of the apple and you were like, okay, apple. So A for apple means this particular fruit that you have seen on the apple. So picture help you to with the help of picture. So as kids, they help you to because kids obviously see things before, right? So as a child, you will see so many things like that, a ball, a but how do you know that these? Which is why alphabet books have these pictures that you can associate. But obviously, picture books are not only for kids. Like picture books have a very hello, am I audible? Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm fixing and it will be better. Hello, is it better now? Okay. So what I was saying is that pic, like picture books, we are all acquainted and familiar with picture books because we had them as children. But at the same time, picture books are not only meant for children. Like uh, obviously, to make children understand the association between words and between words and pictures, it is important. But even as adults, there are a lot of things that we need pictures for. Like, you know, it helps you with your imagination. it gives you a better perspective of what the author is trying to say, or it gives you a better uh, view of the imagination of the author. So picture books don't stop at just being children's book, like children books, children books for children, but they also are a larger, they are a part of a larger discourse where even as adults we require to understand and read certain picture books or books that have pictures. Now we all know that we all know about the, like there are various comics that we have read, like you know the Tinkle. I was giving you the example of Tinkle even in the last class, like reading Tinkle Digest, or any of say the superhero comics that you read, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. All of these are picture books at the end of the day. They are graphic novels, which means there is graphics in it, there are pictures in it, and there are words to correspond with those pictures. So this is the basic structure of what a picture book is. Like there are words and then there are pictures. Unlike a textbook or unlike novels where there are only written words over there. So what are we going to do in this chapter? In this chapter, we are going to understand the importance of picture books. We are going to read picture books and understand hidden meaning. So all this while, even with the books that we had, like even with the readings that we discussed before this, we were trying to understand the meaning that's just not on the surface, but a meaning that's there even below just what is written. So even in this chapter, that is going to be the main idea, to understand the meaning, underlying meaning of these picture books. Then we will understand. So with the suggested reading, we'll understand this particular character Max. There's a character Max, and how he comes to term with his anger and emotional problems. And we will try to understand how it is important, how and why it is important for children to read books and hear stories, because it helps us develop our values. So, reading the right story, having the right stories available to us is very important as children, because what we learn as a child forms our personality, and it is very hard later on to shed those things that we have learned as children. So, it is very important to see what children are learning, and to help them learn good things so that they become better people in the future. So the book that we are going to look at is Where the Wild Things Are. This is a beautiful picture book by Maurice Bernard Sandak, and uh, and when you see like the gist and the summary of the book is given here, you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. So this picture book that we are going to have as the reading for this particular unit is meant for children, and and it is an American Polish, like it is written by someone who has an American Polish Jewish descent. So the only reason why this is important is because every author, say if I write a book, I come from a particular place in the world, right? Like I am an Indian or South Asian person sitting in Delhi and writing a book. So I'm coming from a particular geographical place. I'm influenced by my own history. I'm influenced by the customs and traditions in my country. So my imagination of the world is going to be very different in comparison to say an American person, or say a British person, because they come from a different place in the world, they have a different cultural background, a different family setup, etc., etc. Obviously, even me, like even me being an Indian and you being an Indian, even though we both are Indians, we still have differences between us. But it is good to have a perspective कि whoever's book I'm reading या फिर whoever's poem I'm reading, just to know कि वो लोग आ कहाँ से रहे हैं, like why are they writing this thing suddenly. Like you must have noticed when we were talking about Amal Kanti, and because Amal Kanti is again an Indian poem we read in translation, it is just important to understand कि हम लोगों के कंट्री में ये सब प्रेशर्स है, जैसे अमल कांति के लाइफ में थे कि ही He was not seen as an ambitious boy just because he did not want to become a doctor or a lawyer, and he was not considered to be bright because he could not catch his lessons fast. तो ये सब हमारे country में चलता ही रहता है. And he was just because he wanted to, like, he aspired to be the son, is why everyone just laughed at him. So you can see that knowing where the poem or the piece of writing is coming from just gives you a perspective ki what might be involved or why the story is the way the story is. Just in India, the way kids are brought up, like children are brought up, it's very different from how kids are brought up in America. Like, you know, in the Western countries, they have the whole babysitting and nanny system, right? I'm not saying it's not there in India. Some families have it, but most families don't have it because it's not a custom. It's more about who needs a nanny and who can afford a nanny. And there are many questions. यहाँ पे तो usually if one family member cannot look after the child, the grandmother looks after the child or something like that. So वहाँ पे literally it's a job. Like you can apply to become a babysitter. We don't have those opportunities here. So you can see that the difference is always important. And just to point out that difference, it's good to know where the person is coming from who is writing this book. So Maurice Sendak, like I said, is a Polish Jewish person, and he illustrates storybooks. Like he used to illustrate storybook, and then he became a writer himself. So anyway, now we'll just go into what are picture books. So like I said, most of you are familiar with picture books because there are picture books in every country. Like we have so many picture books. Like I said, in fact, the first thing that we are introduced to are picture books so that we are interested. Children are more interested in colorful things, in things that have pictures rather than just words being written, right? So as children, obviously, we have all come across picture books. And picture books tell us stories, but these stories also have hidden lessons. Like I said, our job here is to look at the hidden message. They teach us values. Like I said, every story told to a child usually teaches some value. Like you remembered the Aesop fables that you read as children or you heard as children. जहाँ पे एक moral of the story तो हुआ करता था end of the story में. Why is this there? The reason it is there is because they are trying to teach some value to the child. Like you remember the wolf story, right? जहाँ पे the shepherd screams wolf wolf and as a joke first, and then the day the wolf actually comes, no one comes to help him. So in that story we learned that it is not good to lie, because if you are caught lying many times, then people stop believing you. So as a child you are taught this lesson so that you know कि it's not a good thing to tell lies. So ऐसे ही through stories, and because it's a story and a child is interested in listening to it, they somehow it just somehow becomes a part of who they are as a person. So they always associate ki, you know, if I lie, it might happen like the wolf story, that when I really need help, nobody will come to help me. So इसीलिए through stories you can actually educate children. The story is primarily narrated through colorful illustrations, and the text gives us the context. So the writers of picture books give a lot of importance to the illustrations. So obviously, because it's a picture book, you are supposed to put a lot of attention to even the drawings. Like the drawings should tell the story that you're trying to tell. You can't say something and draw something else. Here, Here the illustrators pay special attention to the expressions and emotional state of the characters so that the readers are able to understand the situation better. Like I said, the actual aim is to make the readers aware and make them understand the situation better. Like just make them understand what actually is going on. To be effective, picture books must have simple storyline, adequate number of characters, excellent illustration, and a clear message. Now, okay, as a picture book for children, yes, but for adults, sometimes they have very complicated storylines and a lot of characters, and everything. So it's not a rule, but yes, for children, when you make something, it's better to be more clear rather than being more confusing, because then the child will just lose interest or will not understand what you're trying to teach them. So now let's see what makes picture books so important. Picture books are useful in many ways. They help children in developing comprehension skills to a significant extent. Picture books are mostly read with either parents or teachers or just the peer group. Thus, they become very much more interactive and keep the children involved in the reading process. The storyteller or reader questions and constantly talks about the story, and the entire session becomes a kind of performance. So what they're trying to say is that picture books are important, especially for children, or in this case, at least the chapter that we are covering, for children, because it helps them develop comprehension skills. Like I said, it helps them aid their imagination, like it helps them imagine things. And it makes everything more interactive because it's just not words that are written on a paper. It is a more interactive process where everyone feels like they're a part of the story. So in that case, when you can make children feel like they're part of the story, they just feel more involved in the process, and they just feel like they should invest more in it, and they should be paying more attention to it and just become a part of it. So yeah, uh, it helps children develop a story sense and understand casual sequence, understand age appropriate issues, and possible conflict resolution ideas. The instruction in the book helps in understanding complex ideas. I mean, the illustration, sorry. So, yeah, so like I said, it helps you understand things that might be complicated for a child, but just because it's not words and there are pictures supporting it, you can understand what is happening. Now let us see what this story is about. The story is about one evening in the life of a boy named Max. So there's this boy Max, and the story is just about this one particular evening in that boy's life. One fine evening, Max decides to wear his wolf suit and creates all kind of mischief. So Max is a little boy who is obviously a very naughty boy, and he decides he will wear his wolf suit. Like he probably has a wolf suit that his parents bought for him, and he decides to wear that and just do all kinds of naughtiness. He even chases the family dog with a fork in the manner of a hunter. So he pretends to be a hunter, and you can see the picture. You can see this picture that he is just being so mischievous, and he's chasing this poor little dog with a fork, like you can see, with a fork in the manner of a hunter. His mother is very annoyed with his behavior and calls him a wild thing. Yeah, because obviously he's running around the house wearing a wolf suit and he's irritating even the dog. So his mother is very annoyed, and his mother just is like, this behavior is not right, and she's just like, you are being so wild, like a wild thing, like wild, like when animals in the wild behave in a particular way. Since Max is dressed as a wolf, he continues playing the wolf and says, I will eat you. He tells his mother, I will eat you, because he's obviously pretending to be a wolf, and a wolf can do that. And then the mother decides not to tolerate Max's wild ways and to teach him a lesson. She sends him to bed on an empty stomach. So, being very irritated with the son, who is not listening, who is just running around and creating all kinds of mischief, she decides to teach him a lesson, and she just sends him to bed with an empty stomach. As you can see in this picture, that Max has been sent to his bedroom. Like you can see, the moon is out. This is his bedroom. He's still wearing his wolf suit, and yeah, and he has been refused dinner. So even though he is hungry, his mother is not going to provide him with dinner tonight because he has created so much mischief. Max is definitely unhappy and perhaps angry at being denied food. So obviously, you understand Max, just because Max was being naughty and he has been punished, he is angry about it. So Max falls asleep, and in his dream, his room turns into a thick forest. And as if by magic, an ocean appears, and there is a private boat as well for Max. So in his dream, obviously he sleeps in a hungry stomach, and in his dream, he sees that his room has turned into a forest, and there is an ocean, and in the private there is also a private boat for Max. Max sails off in the boat to find the wild things, like because his mother called him a wild thing, remember? So this keeps on playing in his head that he's a wild thing. So what he does is he gets up on this boat in his dream to look for what the wild things are. So, and he sails away for over a year. Like in his dream, he feels like he's been on the ocean for more than 1 year. And he finally reaches the wild things. He finally gets to see what they are. And they are not happy to see him because obviously Max is a human being. Why will they be happy to see Max? They roar and gnash their teeth, roll their eyes, and display the claws to scare Max away. So they try all kinds of things to scare Max away. As you can see in this picture, the lion and the wild creature sitting on the lion is trying to scare Max away with their horns and claws and everything. Just 1 minute. Okay. But Max doesn't get scared. He tames them by telling them to be still and by staring into their eyes without blinking. But so Max is not scared of them. And Max just tells them that they can't scare him like this, and he just takes up all these tactics to try to tame them or to calm them down. On the other hand, the wild things are now scared of Max. So instead of scaring Max, the wild things become scared of Max, and they call him the most wild thing of all. So you remember his mother called him a wild thing, and now even in his dream, the actual wild things, like the wild animals, just because Max has scared them, they start calling Max wild, and they make him the king. And because he is the most wild thing that he has managed to even scare and tame these wild animals, they make him the king of their wild kingdom. And as the new king, he orders them to start the rumpus. Now, what is a rumpus? You can see wild and noisy activities. So, because like all the naughtiness that he was doing, he continues to do it in his dream with the wild things. After a while, Max is tired and just like his mother, orders the wild things to go to bed without food. So now, because he is the king and he is in power, what he does is he's tired of all this mischief, and he tells, and like his mother, he orders all these wild things to go to bed without food. And he begins to feel lonely because everyone's gone to bed. He wants to get back home where he is loved. He also smells the aroma of good food coming from far away. The temptation of love and good food is too much to resist. So Max decides to give up being the king and to return back home. But the wild things are not happy. So because after all the mischief is done and all the naughtiness is done and Max is irritated and has sent all the wild things to go to bed, he realizes that he misses home because home is where he is loved, home has good food, and he decides कि बहुत हो गया है, now I want to return home. And he gives up his position as the king and he decides to return home. But as a king, how can you suddenly one day decide कि आज से मुझे king नहीं बनना है? Like you were very happy जब आपको सबने king बनाया था. Now you can't suddenly give it up. Responsibilities तो ऐसे ही होते हैं. So, and obviously the people who chose you to be king are not happy. They say they love Max and at the same time threaten to eat him up. Like how he threatened his mother, remember? Even though he loves his mother, just because he was running around in the wolf suit, he told his mother, I will eat you up. So even these wild things, they love him and they enjoy with him, but they tell him, we will eat you up. But Max obviously says no to this, and all the wild things once again roar and bare their teeth and roll their eyes. So they are wild animals, so they just behave like wild animals. And once again, so Max is so tired, he sails for over a year in the ocean through weeks and days and nights and comes back home to his own room. On reaching home, he finds his food waiting for him, which is still hot, and he is happy. So finally, when he returns home, he gets his food and he is very happy. So this is the main. This is like the main part of the story. You can see that Max was having this dream and it was associated to something that his mother said. His mother called him a wild thing, and he just had a dream about it, where he realized that how you can make other people angry even though they love you. If you constantly do something they're asking you not to do, it gets very irritating. And that is what he realized. And he realized that he does want to come back home. He does want to uh, come back to the love that his family has for him. He wants to come back to comfort, to good food, and that just mischief or naughtiness is not all that you can do. And he realizes this very well. So, okay, for today, this is how much we will cover in the story. What we will do, like I said in the beginning of the class, we will look at we'll first look at the FIR and then we will look at the RTI. So, first I will teach you the FIR, which is the first information report. And for the RTI, which is the right to information report, uh, I will also send you two YouTube videos that you can watch for your own help. And because those RTIs, those videos actually explain what an RTI is very well, I will send those to you on the WhatsApp group. So you can check it out. It gives you a very good comprehensive knowledge of what an RTI is. And that is going to be very helpful. So now we will cover uh, now we will just cover the FI. First, we'll start with the FIR. Just give me 2 minutes. What do you mean by course unit? I did share the book. If you are asking, Anjali, I did even share the book and share the link of the book. But okay, I can send the book on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So now what we will do is the FIR, like I said. So the first question that I did answer is what is a first information report? First information report is the piece of recorded document that you are provided with, that you file when you go to a police station with a complaint. So this complaint can be anything. It can be a lost document, it can be a lost phone, it can be something more serious. But an FIR is first and foremost mostly lodged for a lost item or some petty theft, or say in the metro someone stole your wallet or someone stole your phone, etc. So this is where you need and like you need a first information report. So you can see here in your book there's the format of the first information report. First you have the applicant's name, which is your name. Then you have your father or husband's name, which whatever like whoever you are in the care of, you have their name. So, and also because if the police can't get to you or if you're not available, so that they have another person they can contact, then you have your contact address and your contact number, and you write the date. Then you start to the police officer in charge and you write the address of the local police station where you have gone, and in the subject you mention whatever is the reason for this FIR. So here they have given you the example of a lost document, phone name and number. Like whatever is like it can be a lost document or it can be the phone that you have lost, etc. And then you will write, respected sir, I would like to bring the following facts to your notice. And you will write about exactly what happened, and you will state whatever your concern is, where you lost it, what position you were in at that point, when did you notice that you lost it, where do you think you have lost it, if you remember anything about the person who might have stolen your wallet or who might have stolen your phone. Like supposing they were wearing a yellow jacket and that is all you remember, so you mention that even though many people in this world can have a yellow jacket, it is still important to mention even the small details. Or if they had a mole on their face, you just say that there was this my suspicion is towards this person who had a mole on their face. So you will mention exactly what if there is anything identifying about this person that you remember, you think has taken your wallet or your phone, you will write that down. And then you will end with, I seek your help and request you to kindly register my FIR in the subject matter. For your ready reference, I enclose here with a copy of my ID proof. Now you have to give an ID proof because your ID proof is what validates you that you are a real person and you are here for a real concern. It's just not a plaything that you are doing at the police station. And you will write ki hope you will do the needful favorably at the earliest. And then you will write thanks and regards, your name, like your signature and your name. So this is the basic format of the FIR. Now we'll look at it in a little more detail. Just give me a minute. I'm very sorry I got disconnected because of my. I'm very sorry. Am I audible? Just give me a minute. I'll share the link. I have shared the link. Please, whoever was asking, join yourself. Yeah, I will again share the screen. Then my screen will be. I just got disconnected. Let just give me 1 minute. I'm trying to find another document where I want to get into a little detail about the FIR. I hope this is. So now here we will discuss what an FIR is. Uh, I will, once we are done, I can uh, download this PDF and I will send it to you on the WhatsApp. So now let us see what is the FIR. An FIR, or First Information Report, is a written document that is filed by the police. It is different from a police complaint. So this is a document that is filed by the police. So say you have a complaint and you go to a police station. This is what the police will first do. An FIR, so it is not a police complaint in the sense that, of course, you have a complaint and you are going to the station, but it is not, but there's a slight difference between a police complaint and an FIR. The FIR is the first piece of document when the police is hearing you out. An FIR is filed if a cognizable offense has occurred. Now, what is a cognizable offense? That is an offense for which police can take action without prior court approval. So say when something is stolen or something is lost. So for this, you don't need to wait for a court order, as opposed to, say, to search somebody's house or to search somebody's property or to search somebody's car and things like that. Here you need a warrant, or if you just accuse someone that this person has done this, obviously a police can't arrest that person until further investigation and until a court approves a warrant for that particular offense. So FIR is not written in cases of those. It's written only in case when the police can take direct action. A police complaint can be filed both in the case of a cognizable as well as non-cognizable. So now you see the difference. A FIR is only when the police can take direct action without the involvement of a court, as opposed to a police complaint which a police can file even if they can take action directly, or they have to wait for a court approval. In the section 154 of the Criminal Procedure Code, 1973, CRPC defines what amounts to first information. So the need to file an FIR arises in the case of loss or theft. Like I said, when you lose something or when something has been stolen, like of documents, birth certificates, PAN card, like some important document that has been stolen, or you have lost something, like your phone has been lost and your wallet has been lost, something along these lines. So this is when, like, a very immediate problem, jahan it is obviously a very big problem to you, but for the police, they can directly intervene, and an investigation is obviously is obviously standard procedure. They have to investigate the case. Maybe you can also be lying, and they will have to investigate whether you're lying and you're just trying to report something against the other person. But at the same time, it's something that the police can directly do, as opposed to bigger problems where you're not, like, as opposed to bigger problems where you have to lodge a police complaint, like if someone goes missing, someone hasn't returned home. All of these are not like first information reports. That's then you have to like file a police complaint. So here what you're being taught to write is more of an FIR, because as you can see, an FIR involves these very everyday problems like losing something, misplacing something, if something is lost, etc. Like if something is stolen, etc. So in order to get a duplicate of any documents, one has to attach a copy of the FIR along with the application. So if at any point, if you have lost your documents, like say you left it on the metro, like you had it with you and you had your file with you and you were sitting and you misplaced it, you left that file on the metro and you forgot about it. And then you have to go to the police station and file this whole thing. Even if someone hasn't stolen it, it's just misplaced, you have to report this. And this report that you have filed in the police station, you will have to attach it to the application when you go back to, say, your school or college and you claim this document again. Because all these places can give you a duplicate copy of your mark sheet or your certificate. But they need to see that you have taken action and it is there as a record, like as a public record. It exists that you have lost this item and you want another copy for, like, against that. In addition, any unauthorized person can misuse your lost original document. So why the other reason why you should file it is just not so that you can claim it again, or you can like it is a normal standard procedure, but also because this misplaced item can be misused by so many people. Someone can commit some forgery or something. So, or do something, say you have bank documents and those get lost, and someone can use your account for wrong things. Someone can use your name for wrong things. So, so that you can avoid problems when they arise later on, you should always file a first information report, because then there'll be a record at the police station that when it was lost, you had actually filed a report, and whatever happened after that, if someone misuses your name, if someone misuses your documents, then it's not your fault. You are in the safe. Obviously, you will have to go through a lot of stress, and it is a very scary situation, but there are people who will help you, as opposed to if there is no FIR, then there is no formal legal procedure that can help you then. So this is to ensure that you never, uh, you don't fall in the dark. Hence, it is important to lodge a FIR for the lost documents with the local police station and get a copy of the same, which will serve as evidential proof for you. So whenever you file an FIR, it is important that you keep a copy with yourself as evidence that you have filed it. 3 or more copies of the application should be made, namely one for the police station record, another duplicate another for the duplicate document application, and finally one for your own. Now this depends on the need. Obviously, this is not something that you have to, like, this is not something that you have to do in the case that maybe it's not a document, maybe it's something else. Then in that case you don't need 3 copies, but whatever, like uh, depending on your requirement, you will take as many copies as you require, but one you should always keep for your own sake, for your own record. The report should be duly signed by the police officer in charge with his name and designation, police station address, and the stamp. So make sure when you file an FIR, when an FIR is filed, don't forget to not have it signed, stamped, and all of those proper things that actually makes it look like a valid document. If the stamp is not there, if the police officer does not write his name properly, then maybe later on someone will just think that it's a fake document. So just to avoid all that, make sure all of these things are properly accounted for. So now you know what a FIR is. Now let us see what you must include in the FIR. So the FIR must include the following items, like the police station and the district. So kahan ka police station hai and which district does it belong to? That's one of the first things. Then you will write the name, the personal details of the person who you are, your name, your father's or husband's name, address, phone number, email. So these are your personal things that the police can get back to you, and it's very important that you mention the correct details without making any mistake. Then you will write about where the incident happened. Like, say you were traveling in a metro from Hoskas to Vishwavidyalaya, and it is during in this journey that you misplaced your file. So you have to mention it, and you notice that you misplaced your file after you got down at Vishwavidyalaya. So then you have to talk about where, like you have to say it happened in this train journey. Then you will write about the distance from the police station, direction from the police station, like the geographical uh, details you will have to mention. Then you will write about date and hour of occurrence. Now, obviously, you don't remember exactly किस time misplace हुआ था, but around the time that you will know what time you started traveling, like कुछ idea तो होगा, so you will be as accurate as possible. Maybe you can't be completely accurate because you can't recall, but you will be as accurate as possible. And then you will write the offense, like what happened. So if it's a misplaced file, that, if your phone got stolen, that, if your wallet got stolen, whatever, you will write that. So the nature of the offense, like again, a murder, a rape, all these cannot come under an FIR. It is a police complaint. But for a theft, yes, you have to write what is the nature, what section does it fall under. So this actually the police will fill up for you because the IPC has many sections and we are not aware of them. So they know what section the crime that has been committed falls under. Then what particular things got stolen, like this this phone, what is the model, what is the, if you can like the details of the phone you have to mention. Then whom do you think did it? Like somebody suspicious in the metro, like I said, any identifying mark of that person. So you just give a description. And if anybody else saw, usually that happens, right? Like you lose someone and everyone screams, oi, 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 oi. So if anybody who is willing to come up and help you uh, get through this problem, and then you can provide the details of witnesses. Otherwise, in many cases, you have to just do it alone because either there are no witnesses or because nobody actually wants to come forward and get you through the whole process. Then you will briefly write down the facts about how it happened in the most accurate way that you can, um, like the best memory that you have. At the end of the complaint, the complainant or the informant's signature and or thumb impression should be there. So you have to sign the document or you have to provide your thumb impression. So this is the sample that they have given. As you can see, your applicant, like your name, your address, your phone number, your email ID, the date, to the local police officer in charge and the address of the local police station. Respected sir, then you write the subject, loss of my original, say, document or say phone. While I was traveling from, like I said, say Hoskhas to Vishwavidyalaya by, say, metro, I lost my phone bearing the number or whatever the model name, along with if there is anything else that you can't find. If you have any, and then if you have any idea where this happened, you will write that detail. Then you will write, sir, to avoid any misuse of my phone or whatever, I seek your help and request you to kindly register my FIR in the subject matter. For a ready reference, you will give, say, a picture of your phone, or if there is anything that you can provide. And obviously, you will give a copy of your ID proof, like say a Xerox of your Aadhaar, your photo, or whatever, like just to say that you are a legitimate person and this is your identity. Hope you will do the needful and favorably at the earliest. Thanks and regards, your signature and your name. So this is the format for a standard FIR. And they have again given you another example where you can see it, the first bit is the same. Then they have written to the police officer in charge, the address, whatever it is, and like whatever is lost. And then you will write, respected sir, uh, I would like to present the following facts, and like this is the one that we already covered in the book. So you can see that this is like the general, I this is the general format of what an FIR is supposed to be. FIR is something that actually does come in your exam. There are questions where you have been asked to write an FIR. When we will discuss the question paper, you will see, but okay, I'm just going to, just for the reference, I will just see. Yeah, so they did give you an FIR to write once, which had you witnessed a case of road rage while coming home from college. Write an FIR sharing all the relevant details about the incident. So, road rage matlab either a speeding bike or some incident, someone met with a minor accident and you want to complain against this person for being, this person on the bike who was being so reckless. So you go to the police station and you file an FIR. So FIR is something that does come for your exam. Like I said, I will be sharing the PDF of this on the WhatsApp group, so you can refer to the format. But besides that, next class we will take up RTI and I will share two videos with you, two YouTube videos before the class so that you can watch it and come. And that will help you know what an RTI is, and it will just be easier for us to cover what exactly an RTI is. Uh, and we will be finishing the rest of Where the Wild Things Are by Morris Sendak, which we were discussing. So yeah, this is what we had to cover for today's class. Now, anybody with any questions to ask, anything, any doubts? I will share the book and you can see everything that's there. So I will send the book also on WhatsApp because I can see a lot of people have problems. So I will share the book, I will share this PDF, and I will share the YouTube videos. See, the syllabus is mainly about you trying to do some of the practical things. So I will just tell you what usually comes in your question that we have already been doing is a comprehension. So comprehension is where you read a passage and you answer questions. We have been reading so many passages for you to be able to understand how a narrative works, right? How a narrative works, how to understand hidden meaning, how to answer questions. So these are already there in your study material. Uh, every after nay, even in between every suggested reading, there is a space where you can there are questions where you can fill in the answers. So this is already there for you. You have to know how to do a comprehension. You have done comprehensions in school, uh, and we have been covering narrative, so you know that what it means to do a comprehension. Then the second thing that comes is things that thing is note making. So we will cover how to do note making and how to write a review. These are things that we will cover. I just taught you FIR. Next class I will teach you RTI. We talked about Facebook and Twitter posts in the last class. That is something that comes. We have already talked about that. We have talked about diary entry. We have talked about diary entry, or like how you can record personal things in a diary, how people do it. We have talked about that in the last class when I taught you Himayana. Then the other thing is dialogue. We did dialogue in the second class, I think, about to write a dialogue with a friend that you met after many years. So we talked about dialogue, and we also talked about interview, where I taught you how there are different kinds of interviews, journalist interviews, police interviews, etc. So I have taught you what an interview is. And the last bit is the grammar portion. I have given you a grammar book to practice. That comes from the squiggle and doodle do chapter. You practice your grammar, you will be able to do the grammar that comes in the exam. So this is basically what your syllabus looks like. And with every chapter that we discuss, every suggested reading that we discuss, I teach you how to do the unseen bit, because unseen is what your exam is going to be on. It's not going to be from the book. You have to know how to do these things. So that is my aim, that I covered the whole thing. Like I said, I'll be covering RTI in the next class. I will be teaching you how to write reviews, and I will be looking at everything that I haven't taught. So you don't have to worry ki I will not cover some things. And if you have doubts, obviously I will be clearing those as well. So yeah, any other questions? Is recorded classes? I don't know about that. I think the recorded classes are just there in your dashboard, or is at least supposed to be there. I have no idea about this. I don't have access to them. I have no idea about this. Okay, then if you have no question, I will meet you all on Sunday. We'll cover RTI and finish the rest of the chapter. Have a good weekend. Thank you all. See you in the next class. Good afternoon.